Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Swapnil Potti. You are watching Night 2.5. So yesterday was title Tuesday and the stunning thing happened there. Our Indian lad Deepan Chakravarti beat Hikaru Nakamura. So Deepan is with white pieces and Nakamura is with the black pieces, and Deepan opened with pawn to e4. Nakamura replied pawn to g6, d4, pawn bishop to g7, knight to c3, d6, bishop to e3. It is leading to somewhere like hippopotamus structure. a6, a4, b6, g3, bishop b7, and like somewhere now it is getting the as we say Philidor flavors also. Black has like French to both his bishop and trying to control this long diagonals as we see. So it's very interesting to see what those bishop will impact in the game. So bishop g2, knight d7, knight g2, and this knight g2 idea means pushing both this pawn and playing knight g2 is very common idea. Kasper used to use it in long time. So here the pawn went for same and pawn to e5. This is not the main line, and now there is some advantage. So Deepan just castle, knight gf6, developing the knight, pawn to h3, controlling the square. So now Nakamura castles, pawn to g4, pushing. The idea is to push the pawn to g5, I think. So b5, and this is very crucial moment of the game. Now you can say like this, why this is a pawn, why it has given a pawn sacrifice, but it is not pawn sacrifice because when you move your knight here, you actually lose the defender of this square, and now both the pieces attack here and only one defender is there. So you can just take it with the knight, and it is actually better for black because you have gained the central pawn and just gave one flank pawn. So that was not a pawn sacrifice, but Deepan has something up his sleeves, which is pawn to g5. And after this, black loses the pawn because first of all you have to save this knight, and if you save this knight, then the one attacker of this square is removed, and then there will be just one attacker and one defender, and the pawn will be saved. So knight h5 and a into b5 as you want to win the pawn. A into b5, knight into b5, and Deepan has won one pawn. So now we can see as the position, white is a pawn up, and okay, there is some trouble because you have pushed this both the pawn, and both these rooks are sharing this open fight. So Nakamura decided to release the tension by taking the rook into a1, queen into a1, bishop c6, and I think this is the critical move. Like as we say, every move has a backdrop with it. So when this bishop moved here on the c6 square, it lose the control of a6 square, and that what Deepan took advantage of. Like he is attacking and lose this square. So Deepan did what, queen a6, and take this advantage of this square and also defended this knight. So queen a6, knight b6, and after d into e5 and d e5, like now you are winning another pawn with very precise calculation. I will like you to stop the video and find this, and the solution is that what he played also. The solution is knight into c7, and it's not very simple. Like it's not very simple. You win this pawn on c7 after taking this queen. The main problem is how you will take the knight. So what happened in the game was queen into c7 and queen into b6. Actually, this is not a good move. The best continuation would have been just taking it with bishop and attacking the queen. You are just two pawn up. So that was not the best continuation by Deepan. And now what can happen? Like also the here before taking this pawn, one move which can be really good is something like b3. I will show you why this move is so good after this variation. Just give a second. After you take with this queen, okay, this variation didn't happen in the game. Suppose I take the queen, and after bishop takes queen, the rook attacks bishop, and the rook doesn't just only attack the bishop, it is also attacking the pawn behind. So after the bishop moves somewhere, okay, it's not the best square, let me move it to nice square. After the bishop moves, I will just simply take one pawn and you are just a pawn up. So therefore the b3 move was important. But as we say, if you are down the material, just don't exchange your major pieces, and that what Hikaru did. As it was a blitz game, there is not enough time to calculate, so he just avoided the exchange of queen. And after that, rook to d1, bringing the last piece in the action, and bishop d7, king h2. Like this pawn was attacked twice by this battery of queen and the bishop. So after queen h2, it protects it. Queen into c2, rook d2, first attacking this queen. You can also take this bishop directly, and after queen c8, like okay, the queen was attacking, so you don't win a piece actually. Like if you just take this bishop, then also black is winning a piece, so it's not a piece up. But here a very nice move was knight to c3, and actually you can see there is no square for this queen, so the queen was getting trapped here. But this didn't happen in the game, that's what I want to show. And after queen takes c2, rook to d2, queen goes back to c8, queen c5, like offering the exchange, bishop e6, queen into c8, exchanging the queen, rook into c8, h4, strengthening this pawn, sorry, this pawn, and rook b8, he attack this pawn, so bishop h3. And if you see this idea is very good, yeah, like pushing the pawn just not to support it. You have the like bad bishop just hitting this pawn, so you want to exchange this bishop with the good bishop of black. But Hikaru's, this was mistake, he didn't exchange it by playing bishop to c4. And then like now Deepan just flows out the position. He plays the bishop on g4, and the idea is to take the knight and ruin the pawn structure also. Like you are already a pawn up, and you want to also ruin the structure. And you can't, like, okay, if you don't want to ruin the structure, you just move the piece, but you also can't move the piece because there is no safe square for the knight. So bishop f8, bishop into h5, g into h5, the structure is ruined, knight g3, attacking this pawn. And now this square is always the weakness also. So bishop b4, attacking the rook. So rook c2, attacking the light square bishop, rook d3, attacking again the rook, and rook to c7, controlling this 7th rank. So bishop f8, going back in the defense. And now a very good move was played by Deepan, I really liked it. Okay, you can also take this pawn, but I like this move very much, which is bishop to c5. Like this is the only defender of this lonely king, and you are just exchanging it, and if sometimes the rook takes the pawn, there is always mating threat. So Nakamura has to exchange bishop into c5, rook into c5, and now Nakamura like does the ultimate mistake of taking this b2 pawn. And now I would like you to pause the video and find mate in 3. Hope you found it. And the mate is rook to c8 check, king to g7, and it's necessary to give knight f5 check. So after the only square, that is king to g3, you delivers the checkmate by rook to g8, and this happened in the game. But actually, even if you buy mistakenly in the grid, you take this pawn, still there is the mate, but now it's mate in 5. Like you want to come to like g3, and now you can also give rook to c6 check. And the thing is, after king to g king to h5, you just block this square of the king. And now okay, there will be some simply moves, and rook is coming here. So this is already winning for white. So hope you like my video, and if you enjoyed it, please do like, share and subscribe. And also don't forget to hit that bell icon so you get the regular notifications of my video. Thank you.